Hi, Jody. It's a pleasure to meet you. Recently, Antiguans have heard a lot about you and your progress as a professional tennis player, and you have been representing the nation proudly. So I'm really happy we were able to get you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I wanted to talk a little more about your backstory. When did you start playing tennis?
I played my whole life. My dad played tennis. My dad played professional tennis. So from I was a baby, I was holding rackets and stuff and hitting balls in the house. So I played at Halcyon. I think I actually started both at Halcyon and Curtin Bluff because my dad had a job at Curtin Bluff at the time. And then I played at Halcyon. I grew up at Halcyon playing until I was 16. And then when I graduated from grammar school, I left and played away. But up until I was 16, I played at Halcyon.
Okay. Did you play any other sports?
Yeah, I played tennis, golf, cricket, football. I think that's everything.
And so tennis was basically just like the one you just know, like the best one, or were you just...
I love cricket. I still love cricket. Mm-hmm. I think I stopped playing cricket. I was in third form at grammar school, so I must have been like 13. I don't know, because I graduated when I was 16, so 2 years before that, 14, 13. And I was playing both cricket and tennis until about then, and then I stopped playing cricket. And then I played it like on and off when I came back, but it wasn't the same as before.
So why did you stick with tennis?
I knew I was going to play either cricket or tennis, but there was like some politics involved in my cricket career when I was young, and I played for Antigua national team under 13 and 15, and then I got selected to play for Leeward's under 13. I think I went to trials. I didn't go to trials, I went to the training camp, and I was dropped from the team before they went to Trinidad to play the regional tournament, and then I came back. I remember I was destroyed. And the captain at the time actually told me, not the captain, the manager told me that I was the only returning player for the next year that was on the team. And he dropped me and he said, the next year I'm looking forward for you leading the team and blah, blah, blah. But I remember it being like a situation where I thought it was just excuses, you know, because he didn't think I was ready, I guess. And then I came back and I think I went to combined school practice and broke my hand. Mm-hmm. And it was my first practice for combined school. I broke my hand, so I was out for like 4 weeks, and I came back in the middle of school league. And when I finished school league, I was just like, it wasn't the same. I lost the passion I had before. And I mean, I was still playing tennis the whole time, you know, and that situation never happened to me in tennis. So I just kept playing.
Okay. You also earned your first ATP ranking point on the 26th of June, 2015, so about 3 years ago.
Yes.
And your current rank in singles is 1274, mm-hmm. and your current rank in doubles is 1276. Could you explain the ATP ranking point system?
Yeah. So the doubles points, I got 2015, I think, is when I got my first doubles points. But then I got my first singles ranking last year. The way the ranking system works is it's on a point basis. So like if I win a match and let's say I get one ATP point today, it expires in 1 year. And then whoever has the most points, like week by week, whoever has the most points, like total, is the highest ranked. So like the guys in the top 10 have thousands of points. And then at my stage, I have 5 points, so single digit points. So obviously they have the most points, so they're top 10 in the world, and I'm 1,200 right now with 5 points. So that's how it works. So the more points I get, the higher I go.
And do you prefer singles or doubles?
I think I prefer doubles, but not by much. Like it's close still. But doubles is fun. Doubles is less pressure, usually playing with someone that you enjoy playing with, and it's a lot faster, high energy, shorter points. And it suits my game a little bit more than singles. So, I mean, I always had fun, and in college you play a lot of doubles. The doubles points in college is really important, so I played a lot of doubles in college, and then I obviously had some success on the Pro Tour before I went to college in doubles, and then I came back last year and had some success in doubles as well. So I think I prefer playing doubles, but I still love singles as well, obviously.
And what college did you go to?
I went to Northern Kentucky University.
And why did you choose to go there?
When I was 17, I wrote a bunch of emails to different programs that I wanted to go to, tennis programs. I wanted to study architecture, and my junior ranking was about 800 in the world, but I knew that the big programs, they recruit guys in the top 200-300, so I didn't really have much of a chance to go to a big program. And the schools that offered me scholarships didn't have architecture, so I basically took the next closest thing. It was partly a financial decision because obviously college is expensive, and I played 4 years at a small Division I school. It was actually the first year Division I at my school. I didn't know that at the time until I was recruited, and I studied construction management.
So in essence, you kind of, not necessarily hampered, but you chose tennis over studying architecture.
Kind of. I mean, it was a tough financial decision. I knew it would be very hard on my family if I went to a school and studied architecture and had to pay for all of it myself, well, ourselves. So I went to a school that offered me to pay some of my tuition. And I figured also that if I didn't like it in the first year or two, I would switch and go to a different school or find a program that I would like, and I ended up really liking it after the first semester. I was really interested in construction management, and I was fine.
Okay, that's good that it worked out then.
Mm-hmm.
So you also mentioned, since you mentioned the ATP ranking points, it all expires after a year.
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to end the year?
At the beginning of the year, so last year I ended at about 1,300, and at the beginning of the year my goal was to end in the top 400, and I think it's still possible, but I had a rough maybe first 3 months of the year, 4 months. I was struggling with a little bit of an injury, so I wasn't performing as well, and I went on a tour to Europe, and the week before, previously, I had to retire because of a shoulder injury, but I was already scheduled to go to Europe, so I went anyway, and I didn't really have a great time. I didn't win very many matches, and it was just tough. And then I came back, and I had a few opportunities in big tournaments to get a lot of points, and I didn't take those opportunities, but then I had the last month was really good for me. I won lots of matches. I picked up another ATP point. I went to Davis Cup. I played 5 matches in singles and 4 in doubles, so I played a lot of tennis, won a lot of matches. So it's been good for me the last month or so. And then my next trip to Canada next week should be good as well. I should be in the main draw every week, so I'll have opportunity to pick up more points on that tour as well.
Okay.
So I think a more realistic goal now would be maybe 600s, I think, in the top 600 probably.
Okay, but that must be really stressful having to deal with injuries while still trying to progress your career as a professional tennis player.
It's tough because in college we had trainers and we had sports medicine and all that stuff given to us, and in college sports, NCAAs, your school provides you with everything, facilities, uniforms, coaching. They have put you on a weight program, fitness program, you have the recovery, they put you on a recovery program, all that stuff. But then one thing that people don't realize is when you leave college and you go to the pros, especially in tennis, you don't have all that stuff just given to you. That becomes an expense that you have to pay for. And it's expensive. Recovery is expensive with all this technology now. And I don't know, in a way, people have an advantage over you if they have a better way to recover than you, So tennis is a very physical sport, it's tasking, and if people have better recovery than you, they're more prepared to play the match than you are, So you have to try and take it seriously and figure out ways to spend not as much money to get as much recovery as you can,
Right.
And I didn't take it as seriously the first, I think it was my first tournament last year was the first time I dealt with that shoulder injury, and it kind of stayed with me all year long because I didn't recover the way maybe a professional should recover. So it's been tough, yeah.
So how do you manage those financial expenses in terms of like maintaining
Yeah.
your
Enough money to stay out here.
right.
It's been tough. I mean, a lot of tennis players go through the same thing. That's one of the biggest things for tennis players, I think, is managing their finances. I was lucky to get a few sponsors here and there, but it's not necessarily the way I want it to be. You know, it's never like, well, shouldn't say never, but I don't have like a set sponsor that I know I'm getting this amount of money like specific times of the year. You know, it's always like someone makes a contribution, or this company makes a contribution, and that makes a contribution, and it's great. You know, all of it helps, but it doesn't allow me to schedule and go about my year the way I want to do it, if that makes sense.
Right. So how, like, obviously, having the financial backing is essential if you want to like truly progress.
Yeah.
How, going forward, how do you see that playing out? I mean,
I think the first 6 months of my career last year, from January till June, I think I did okay. I won a lot of matches, but I didn't have an ATP ranking yet. So there was no maybe real incentive for companies to get on board. And then from June till December, I had a really good year. I ended with 4 points. I played Davis Cup for the first time. I won matches against guys in the 600s. I went close with guys in the 200s that play Grand Slams, that play the Australian Open, the US Open. I played guys that compete in those tournaments. And then this year as well, my ranking went up a little bit. So now I think I'm putting myself in a position where companies are willing to get on board. And especially because I did well at Davis Cup last week, I think, obviously, personally, I had victories over Jamaica, Honduras, Panama, and Bermuda, I think. And it goes to show that, like, in the Caribbean, at least, I'm one of the top players in the Caribbean, you know, in the English-speaking Caribbean specifically. So I feel like now companies will be more willing to get on board and support me, and we can have a relationship where we both benefit from it, you know. And I've had meetings, a few meetings this week when I tried to come home and have meetings. It's been going a little bit better this time around than a year ago. So I think hopefully this year, towards the end of the year, I'll be able to have some support that allows me to play the way I want to play and schedule the way I want to schedule and be a professional the way I want to be a professional.
right. So it's constant hard work and dedication. You can't slack at all. In terms of government involvement, has the government of Antigua and Barbuda been helpful in helping your tennis career to progress?
So, like I said, because of my results last year, I didn't really have much help. And then this year, actually, the Ministry of Tourism helped me a little bit. They paid for some of my flights. They paid for some of my accommodation. It made a big difference. My trip to Europe, they paid for that. They paid for my flights there. They paid for my like travel in between, because it was 3 different cities. And they also took care of my accommodation at some of my tournaments in Guadeloupe and Mexico, I think. So they have helped out a little bit. And I also met with the Ministry of Sports a few days ago, and we're going to try and figure out ways to have a relationship through them as well. So at this stage, they have helped a little bit, and hopefully they help some more this year and for the rest, like for next year as well.
So I mentioned government involvement. I know last year you played in the Davis Cup, and that was the first time that Antigua has ever played since 2002, 16 years ago. Could you firstly explain the Davis Cup?
Davis Cup is a team tournament, so I'm not playing for myself, I'm playing for Antigua, and we're playing against other countries. So I'm not playing against Jody Maginley versus a certain player, I'm playing Antigua versus a different country. So it's every country in the world who, I guess, not every country, but most countries play Davis Cup. It's like the World Cup of tennis. So we are in the Americas region, Zone 3. So the way it works is if you win Zone 3, you go to Zone 2. You win Zone 2, you go to 1. You win 1, you go to World Group. And World Group is where Spain, France, USA, Belgium, like all those countries play. So we played last year against Bermuda, Jamaica, Honduras, and Puerto Rico. And this year we actually did a little bit better, won some more matches. We played against Bermuda, Jamaica, Honduras, Panama, and I'm not sure who the fifth one was. Oh, Bahamas.
Okay.
So we played Antigua versus those countries this year in Davis Cup.
Mm-hmm. So can you go into more detail about how Antigua did?
This year we came 8th out of 9, but that didn't really do our performances justice, because we ended up with a 3-way tie with two other countries. It was between us, Jamaica, Honduras, and it was a 3-way tie with points because we beat Jamaica, and then Honduras beat us, and I can't remember exactly, but it was a 3-way tie. But because we didn't win as many sets against the other countries, we ended up playing off for 7th and 8th. Jamaica played off for 5th and 6th, and Honduras played off to be promoted. So in our section, Honduras was promoted, Jamaica came 6th, we came 8th, but we actually deserved to do a lot better.
So I guess you can say it wasn't necessarily a fantastic result, but in terms of your personal skills, do you think it was a good tournament for you?
For me, yeah, it was great, I think, but I would have preferred for the team to move up to Division 2 than for me to have a great tournament. You know, I mean, for my professional career, yes, it's great, but going in, I didn't think too much of it. I didn't actually think that we would do as well as we did, but then we found ourselves in a position to have a playoff match, and we split the singles points against Honduras, and we were playing, and if we won doubles, we would have been playing off for Group 2, and we ended up losing like in doubles and straight sets, a tough match, because in those moments it becomes ugly tennis. It becomes like who can handle pressure more, it becomes who wants it more. It doesn't become about skill, you know, and those guys are just hungry, and we didn't necessarily handle the pressure well as a team. So it was tough, I think. But I think we had a great week. Last year we didn't win any matches. We didn't beat any countries. This year we beat 2 countries and had the opportunity to beat 2 more. We only lost 3-0 to Bahamas. We lost 2-1 to Honduras, 2-1 to Panama, and we beat Jamaica and Bermuda. So we had a really good tournament considering the circumstances.
So you could say that Antigua has a lot of potential going forward in the Davis Cup?
I think if we continue to grow, yes, we can. We have a few younger guys that if they keep playing and keep getting better, yeah, we can do well next year.
And do they train in Antigua?
Some of them do and some of them don't.
Okay. Well, from your experience, how do you think coaching and training is in Antigua? Do you think it's taken seriously enough?
Do I think the sport of tennis is taken seriously enough? No, I don't. But tennis is not what it used to be in Antigua. I remember when I was 12 years old, I played at Halcyon. We had competition from Jolly Beach. We had competition from Carlisle Bay. You know, we had like different like a few different hotels that had a group of players. You know, and they also had Vikings. I remember they had some junior players at Vikings as well. But now tennis is not as popular, and some of the coaching, I guess, the focus isn't on the juniors as much anymore. You know, there's not as many players, as many junior players. There's not as many junior tournaments, as far as I know. So I think we need to get more kids playing. We need to figure out a way to get more kids playing tennis.
Yeah, and I can agree with that with other sports in Antigua as well. Like, for example, with volleyball, it's just not taken seriously at all. Mm-hmm. There's no like strict regimented rules. There's no system in place to propel people towards actually being successful in the sport that they choose when they're younger.
It's tough. And the thing is, for for kids playing tennis, the biggest thing is competition. You know, playing lots of matches and losing. Like losing is important. You know, and if we have very few tournaments, and let's say one of our better juniors is playing these local tournaments and doing well, they don't really know what's outside of Antigua, and they haven't experienced that much, you know, so they go out into the world with expectations. They go out and play these other tournaments with expectations that they're going to go do really well. And at the end of the day, Antigua is a small country. Outside of Antigua, you have the Caribbean. Outside of the Caribbean, you have the Americas region, and then you have Europe, you know, and I think you have to play a lot of matches to really understand that it's not just us. There's a lot more outside of Antigua and outside of the Caribbean.
Agreed, but it definitely stems from within Antigua, and I think definitely more importantly regionally, so that players can get an opportunity to play against different
and they have
people.
They have a few regional tournaments, but not as much as
enough.
They should, I think.
Yeah. So when you were training, do you still train in Antigua? When you're here, do you not train?
I train when I'm here, but this is not my base, no.
Okay. Who were your coaches here when you did train in Antigua?
Cordell Williams and my dad. Cordell Williams and my dad.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you think the level of coaching, like what's your opinion on the level of coaching?
I mean, Cordell's coached for many years. You know, he's great with the kids. Like, he's great with the juniors. A lot of the juniors that went to Halcyon, if they still play tennis, they went to school, or they had the opportunity. Cordell put them in a position where they have an opportunity and they make the choice. You know, he's not responsible for them at the end of the day. If they want to go professional or whatever, it's not his job, you know, but he gives the kids an opportunity to do what they want to do. Like for me, example, if I didn't want to be a professional, I still learned to play tennis there. I still got to a level where I was able to get a scholarship into college, you know, and I think that's very important for even kids who don't want to be professionals. There's still a reason to play sports. There's still a reason to play tennis, you know, because you can, if you're good enough, get a scholarship to a school and have opportunities to get an education. So I think for his job specifically, I think he does a good job.
I also, for a very brief moment in my life, I played tennis, and I played with Armstrong Tennis Academy in Jolly. But I remember this one girl who was really good. I don't remember her last name, but I think her name was Kishora.
I remember Kishora.
Yeah.
I think she does track and field now.
Oh, yeah. So I guess she just transitioned from tennis.
I don't know when she stopped. I didn't know them that well because I played at Halcyon, but I think she does track and field now. Yeah,
but she was on a really good streak. But on to your support system.
Okay.
How do you balance your personal life and tennis and training?
I mean, I think I moved away at 16, so when I moved, I guess I got used to it really soon. You know, I moved away when I just turned 16. I think I moved away 1 week after my 16th birthday. I moved to Florida, spent 2 years there, and I was still really close with my family and really close with my friends from school. So we had a group chat that we were talking all the time, and I met more people as I spent time away. My friends from school went to state college and went to different schools, and they met more people. So when I came back, I would meet all my new friends, you know, and that sort of stuff. But it was, I don't know, I got used to it when I was young, so I didn't really have any trouble with that stuff, I think. And I don't really have much trouble, I think, balancing my personal life with tennis, because everyone around me knows how seriously I take it, and no one ever tries to persuade me to do something that's not good for my career, you know?
Yeah, and you've also
Except for my best friend.
And you've also been playing for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like since you were born, basically.
Yeah. I knew what it took, so it's not difficult for me to balance that stuff.
Okay, so you mentioned previously that you weren't based in Antigua. Where are you based now?
In Texas, Dallas, Texas.
And you're training with
Taylor and Phil Dent. So
could you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, Taylor, well, I guess Phil. Taylor is Phil's son. They both played professional tennis. Phil, I think his career high was 4 in the world. I think he made the finals of the French Open. Probably, I think he won doubles at the French Open as well. Taylor's career high was 21, I think. And he could have been a lot higher, but he was hurt. He had a back injury, a really bad back injury. He was out for a few years, but he had the potential to be like top 10, consistent top 10 tennis. But I work with them. They're great coaches. I met them 2 years ago. They actually Taylor came to Antigua for Tennis Week. So that's how I learned that he had an academy. And when I was graduating school, I wanted to try somewhere, so I tried his academy, and I loved it. And then they moved from California to Texas. So when I graduated, I moved with them, and I've been with them for a year and a half now.
So what do you like about them?
They're different. Taylor is a lot more about the ball production and the quality of the ball. But Phil is really good with technique and like breaking down someone's technique and stuff. So when I first came, we had to go through like, you know, what's good about my game, what's bad, what we need to work on, blah, blah, blah. And one of my weaknesses was my backhand. And we changed the technique of my backhand, and I spent a lot of hours on my backhand working on it. And I had different point of views, obviously, because Taylor was, like I said, a lot more concerned about the ball and how it came off the court and how it came off my racket. But Phil was a lot more concerned about like the breakdown of my stroke, the technique and stuff, and what makes the ball react a certain way. So I think that's what the best about that academy specifically, not just for me, but for anyone, you know, because if you're a person who likes, you know, tactics and that sort of stuff, you can work with someone. If you're someone who likes, you know, to pay attention to technique and attention to detail and stuff, you can go and talk to Phil. So I think that's why it's such a successful academy. So
their ability to fine-tune your skill set.
Yeah, and they played at the level that I want to play. They know what it takes to play at that level. And from day one, they changed my mentality about how far I can reach in tennis. Because it's a very Caribbean mentality. Oh, I would love to get an ATP point. Or, oh, I would love to play professional tennis. But when I got there, it was not about if I can do it and if I can play professional tennis. It was about, okay, we're doing this. Like, how can we get you as high as possible, as soon as possible, you know? And unfortunately, it's not like a steady road. Like, progression and improvement is not straight up. Yeah, and especially in tennis too, because I could have trained from day one to be successful at the lower levels of professional tennis and been a lot more successful a lot quicker. But I chose the longer route, the route that, you know, I'm playing the right way and I'm making mistakes, but I'm making the right mistakes. And I'll make the right mistakes over and over again until it becomes natural, you know, until I can have the ability and the skill to do this consistently over and over again. And that's what's been happening. You know, I'll go a few days, a few weeks where I'm playing at the level that I want to play, that I need to play to be well. But I don't have the skill to do that consistently yet because I'm trying to play at such a high level so consistently.
So, I mean, evidently your mindset has really been one of the biggest factors in how successful you can potentially be.
Kind of, yeah. I think I struggle. Tennis is like, majority of tennis is mental. And I struggled a bit, and I actually, like I said, when I got hurt and I was in England, I struggled a lot mentally, you know, and I lost a lot of confidence because I was losing matches that I wasn't losing a year ago. And I actually lost contact with Taylor for about 2 weeks because it was time change, and I was trying to do it myself. Like, I was trying to take care of the mental stuff myself. And I shouldn't have, you know, because everybody goes through it. All of the professional tennis players have gone through it at some point, and I needed someone who've been through it to help me through it, you know. And I immediately got back from my trip and I started working on my injury. I started getting my shoulder better, and I started reading books and having conversations with Taylor every day and setting small goals at practice. And it made a big difference. And it actually took me a year and almost a year and a half to really just get it right, and like to realize that improvement's not easy. Everybody's going to make mistakes, and I can't get hung up on making these mistakes. You know, as long as I make the right mistakes, I can't be upset. And it took me a long time to realize that.
Yeah, it's really important to be resilient.
Yeah.
But on the topic of being realistic with your goals, do you have a set plan for tennis? Like, if it doesn't work out, say in the next 5 years, what's your plan?
So when I was going to school, obviously I wanted to play professional tennis when I was done. But my mom, especially, my family, and my mom really wanted me to get a degree. So I went to school, I got my degree, and we had a conversation with both my parents, and they were basically like, look, if I get my degree, I have the opportunity to go and do what I want, you know, and I can play professional tennis for a few years. So I got my degree, and the plan was basically, as long as it's still worth it to play, as long as I'm still improving, my ranking's getting better, and it's still worth it to play, then I can keep playing. And it has been. You know, I've been improving at steady levels. I've been playing big tournaments, really big tournaments. Last year I played a tournament against a guy 75 in the world. That was a great experience. I played on live stream with, like, all of my family and friends could watch me from here. And it's also, in a way, because of the success I've been having, because I went to school for 4 years, I've been a professional for a year and a half, I'm investing my time into tennis. So it's not like my degree is the only option at this point. You know, I did construction management. I can go into construction, I can go into management because I did business courses. I can go into tennis or sports because I've spent a year and a half in tennis and 4 years in college and my whole life playing tennis. And at this stage, I can get good jobs. Let's say if I don't play professional tennis, but I stick to coaching, I can get a coaching job at an academy, or I can get a coaching job at a university, at a school, at an academy. Like, I'm investing time into my craft. So I'm not necessarily worried about, at this stage, about if I, you know, don't make it as a professional tennis player, that I just fall into the middle of nowhere and I'm broke. So.
But sorry, I just wanted to touch on ups and downs. Mm-hmm. Suppose, hypothetically, you just have consecutive downs.
Okay.
I'm trying to think how to phrase this, but like, what is the turning point when you say, well, let me think of something else?
Yeah.
Let me just do something else.
That makes sense. The turning point, I think, like I said, when I stop improving, when it becomes a point where my goal is not reachable. Because at this stage, it's very reachable.
Yeah.
And I think if it gets to a stage where I see there's a specific period of time where I'm not improving, my rank is not getting better, I'm not enjoying it, it's becoming too tough financially to keep me out there, I think those are the kind of things that I think about all at the same time. If I have to sit down and think about my career, those are the things that are most important for me. So if it comes to a point where I'm not improving, it's too tough financially, and I'm not, putting myself in good positions to get high and get to my goal, then I'll have to make a realistic decision.
Right. So what is your favorite thing about tennis, or what is the best thing about tennis? And secondly, what is the biggest challenge that you have right now?
Tennis is like a project. It's like there's always something coming up, and it's never ending. It's like CXC times 1,000. Like, it never ends. And it's you just, after a while, you get lost in how much you have to improve and how much you have to do and how much you have to do. It becomes like a habit. I think that's what I like about it the most. Obviously, it's fun. I enjoy it. I get to meet a lot of cool people. I get to travel. Sometimes it's tough to travel because every week you go to a different place. You have to pack up in hotel rooms. Especially at my stage, I have to plan everything myself. So that gets tough. But I think the toughest thing is probably finances and trying to get sponsorship. And because, like I said, I do everything myself. I write the emails. I reach out to people. I do have help, obviously, but I write all the emails. I reach out to people, phone calls. I plan hotels. I have to order equipment. And all of this is outside of practice. And I have to go practice 4 hours a day, gym an hour and a half a day, that sort of stuff. So it gets you get lost in how much you have to do all the time. I think that's the toughest part.
It's always about refocusing yourself. And yeah. Well, I wish you all the best, and I really hope everything works out for you the way you want it to.
Thank you for having me.